Hey guys, Fox here, and today we're going to be discussing whether or not the new USFL chose the right 8 teams to be in their league. So for those of you who don't know, all 8 teams that they picked, the Michigan Panthers, New Jersey Generals, Philadelphia Stars, Pittsburgh Maulers, Birmingham Stallions, Houston Gamblers, New Orleans Breakers, and Tampa Bay Bandits, all those teams were at some point in the original USFL. But I honestly don't think they picked the right teams for what they're trying to do and bringing back the USFL. Now, for the sake of what they're trying to do, I'm only going to be looking at teams that were in the USFL, which includes their cities, since that's clearly what they're going for. As I would like to say that they should have a team in San Diego or St. Louis, since the San Diego Fleet in the AAF had pretty good attendance numbers, as are shown a bit, and same with the St. Louis Battlehawks, which actually had the most attendance of any of the XFL or AAF teams. But they never played in St. Louis, never played in San Diego, and it's clear they want to have the original teams be in the league. So let's get started with the teams that I think are fine. The Birmingham Stallions, even though they're AAF, Birmingham Iron weren't the best at attendance, I still think Birmingham deserves to have a team there, and especially since they were one of the teams that stayed in their place the whole league. From 1983, they played all 3 seasons and were projected to be in the 4th season, all of which would have been in Birmingham. The Tampa Bay Bandits and New Jersey Generals fall in that same line as well. They were only in one city, and they were going to last all 4 years if they had played the 4th year. So the Bandits and the Stallions are fine. And now we get into some of the questionable ones, with the main one being the New Orleans Breakers. I don't know why they chose that place. I guess it's because the New Orleans faithful is it's really loyal to the Saints and stuff. So I guess having football in New Orleans is a good idea. But the original USFL team, they played in Boston, then they moved to New Orleans, then they moved to Portland. So it's not like they played in one place their whole time, or were just there for 2 of the years. No, they were literally there 1 year and then left again. So they're a questionable one. The Pittsburgh Maulers only existed 1 year, which that's not a good thing. And I guess that's also because the Pittsburgh area is pretty faithful to their team. I don't know. The Houston Gamblers, they may have only been in the league 2 years, but thanks to Jim Kelly, they are a very known USFL team. So I guess I'm fine with them being in the league. The Philadelphia Stars, the Stars would have lasted all 4 years as well, but they were only in Philadelphia the first 2. But once again, very faithful fan base. The Michigan Panthers, that's a questionable one. I like the fact that Michigan would be getting a football team that isn't the Lions to root for a bit, but it's just, I don't know, it's just a questionable one. So, essentially, the Stallions, the Bandits, Gamblers, and Generals, I am fully okay with, and the Stars, I think I can kind of get behind. Now, as for the Maulers, Breakers, and Panthers, I really don't agree with those 3. So, let's discuss the teams that I think should be in there. The San Antonio Gunslingers 100% should be in the league. And I'll show you why in a second, but they should be in the league. The Oakland Invaders should also be in this league. Not only were they there from the start until the end, even though they weren't projected to be in the next season, they were still in there for the first 3 years. And since, Oakland lost the Raiders, it'd be really nice for them to get a team again. And I could see the LA Express be a team, but I understand that they might not believe that they'll get a ton of viewership once the league is, actually playing where they're supposed to, since in April you have baseball going on, you have hockey going on, and you have basketball, so not many people would probably show up. But the Outlaws/Wranglers in Arizona should be in the league as well. So the San Antonio Gunslingers, the Oakland Invaders, and the Arizona Wranglers/Outlaws. Those 3 teams I believe should be in instead of the Maulers or the Breakers or the Panthers. So let's just look at the attendance numbers for the AAF real quick. In the AAF, they had really bad attendance, even compared to the XFL. Yet, the San Antonio Commanders averaged 27.7 thousand fans a game. And they didn't just play a couple games, because the St. Louis Battlehawks, which I'll show in a second, played 2 games and had a lot of fans. The Commanders played 4 games. And what's even more insane, they weren't even the best team in the league. The Orlando Apollos were 7-1, and as you can see, we're second in attendance with 19.6 thousand. Yet for a team that was worse than them, like significantly worse, since there's a big drop from the best team to like maybe the second or third best team, they had 27.7 thousand. So I don't know why they didn't decide to put a team in San Antonio. It's playing in April, which is when the AAF played. So you're playing at the same time. And if the Commanders got that much hype, I'd imagine the Gunslingers would get that much, if not more hype, since they had a team there before. So I don't know why they didn't choose San Antonio as one of their places. And then in terms of other teams here, as you see, Orlando and San Diego both had respectable fan bases, whereas Birmingham was kind of in the middle. It was below league average, but league average, as you can tell, was helped a lot by the Commanders. But the Birmingham Iron had 14,000. I mean, they were decent. It's just that they really weren't the most liked team, I guess. And I mean, they were basically the same as the Commanders. They were a 5-3 team, but they had already clinched the playoffs as well. So I think it shows how they were a decent team, but in terms of fan base. But yeah, I just think the Stallions deserved it since they played all the years in the old USFL. As for the XFL, if you look at it here, you look at the St. Louis Battlehawks and you look at the Seattle Dragons and say, whoa, that's pretty good. And the Seattle Dragons is more impressive when you realize that they were 1-4. They were arguably the worst team in the league, yet got that much fan base. Now, here's where the positives end for that. They can't do a team in St. Louis or Seattle. They are trying to have the original teams, like from the original league, be playing where they're supposed to. So they can't just put a team in St. Louis or Seattle, which, as you can tell by the ratings, is a really good idea. But you do have other teams that are playing. By that, I mean Dallas and Tampa Bay. Or I mean, not Dallas, my bad. Houston. Houston Roughnecks had 18,000 fans a game. That's pretty solid. And then the Tampa Bay Vipers at 15,000. It's better than Birmingham. XFL overall did have better attendance, but yeah. And I think a lot of that is because people knew what the XFL was. Like, the AEF just kind of appeared. The XFL did happen before, but the USFL happened for a few years, but it was a long time ago. So the XFL attendance numbers, I feel like, are more akin to what we're probably going to see. But as you can tell by the ratings from the XFL, Houston is definitely a decent choice with 18,000 viewers at the game. And the Tampa Bay, I mean, they didn't get a ton of viewership, but back to what I said at the beginning, I would have preferred them to put original teams that lasted the whole time. Like the Washington/Orlando Renegades are another one that I think has a pretty good argument to be in there. Because the Orlando Renegades, I mean, Orlando, they showed support. 19,500 people over that showed up per game, and they had 3 different home games. So, I mean, they have a legitimate argument to be a team that should have been there as well. It's just the Pittsburgh Maulers, the Michigan Panthers, I mean, those are just, and the New Orleans Breakers, those are just really weird picks when you look at all the other teams. Back to the San Antonio Gunslingers. Why don't you pick that team? Like, why don't you? The Commanders had 27,000 per game. That's by far the best of any team that's location was in one of those places. So, like, not counting St. Louis and Seattle, it was the best. So I don't know why you don't pick them. So, essentially, if I were to make the choices, I would ditch the Maulers, the Panthers, and the Breakers. And the 3 teams that I would probably end up picking would be the San Antonio Gunslingers. I would probably add... Yeah, you know, it's just... I'd add the Arizona Wranglers/Outlaws. But I do understand that their Arizona team didn't get a ton of fan base, which is the one thing that's hard to say about it. It's just that I feel like a team that was there all the years wouldn't. But if you don't want to put Arizona in, I would put the Orlando Renegades. So I'd put either the Outlaws or the Renegades in instead of one of the other teams. And then the last team I'd put in is the Oakland Invaders. There hasn't been a team in Oakland since the Raiders left. There hasn't been one in any of these other leagues. And I feel like it would be really nice to have a team there since they did lose their football team. So yeah, those would be my final choices. The Renegades, the Renegades, the Gunslingers, the Outlaws, or Wranglers, whichever one they want to pick, and of course the Invaders. And before you end this video, just to talk about real quick the potential hub. It is essentially at a point where it is a 99.9% chance it's happening, but by a pure legal standpoint isn't 100% confirmed, and that's where the USFL is playing this year. It's supposedly Birmingham. With them playing in Birmingham essentially means that they're not going to have any fans in the stands, and that's how it should be. Now, they might have fans in the stands, but if they do, it's going to give a complete unfair advantage to the Stallions, which I don't think they should do. So, I hope that they don't have fans, but I hope they change location to somewhere neutral so they can have fans, because it'd be really messed up to allow fans for a league and only let one team have home field advantage, and it'd be every game they have it. But yeah, that was just my 2 cents thrown in there about that, but we'll discuss it more whenever we find out officially where the USFL is playing, even though it's pretty obvious they're going to play there. So yeah, this has been Zomfox signing out. If you guys want to see more content on USFL, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified every time I upload. Have a great night.